What's the most messed up way you got back at someone who wronged you? Story 1. Well, I don't know how cool this is, but it was definitely the most enraged I've ever been. This was a few years ago when my son wasn't even old enough to walk yet. I had just kicked my girlfriend out of our apartment because she was cheating on me, so I had more rage built up than normal. It was a nice summer night and I had my son in his bouncy seat by a screen door that led to our balcony, which faced a somewhat busy street. He was enjoying bouncy time, and I was enjoying whatever happened to be on TV at the time. Suddenly I heard a couple of loud pops and a couple of duller smash sounds. Startled, I looked towards the balcony and noticed remnant of egg running down the window, and I looked at my son who had started to scream. He also had egg on him since it had splattered through the screen door. Rage mode activated. I cleaned up the window and I cleaned up my son. I put him to bed after I got him calmed down, since it was his bedtime anyway. At this point I was still fuming. I was thinking about who would do such a thing, and my only rational explanation was teenagers who were bored and feeling destructive. We had egging problems on the street in the past, but usually it was limited to cars that were parked along the street. I immediately thought, if I was still a teenager, I'd wait for the person to clean it up, and I'd be confident enough to go back and egg them again. I grabbed an old aluminum baseball bat and sat outside my apartment building. Keep in mind that this was a pretty rough period in my life, so I probably wasn't completely sane after this happened. I found a spot between two cars that were parked end to end in front of the building and sat on the curb between them. 10 to 15 minutes went by and no sign of any delinquents. I was about to give up when suddenly a newer sedan came around the corner and came to a halt in the middle of the street, almost right in front of me. I look around the edge of the parked car's bumper and see a car filled with teenagers. One is slowly emerging from the passenger side rear window with eggs in hand. I stood up immediately with the bat and made direct eye contact with the kid. He completely froze, and all I could muster was, "UPOS." I started swinging at the car with a fury that I'll probably never replicate. Large dent after large dent. Driver's side tail light completely destroyed. Sledgehammered the driver's side mirror off. I hear teenagers screaming to "Go, go, go!" and the driver floors it. With 4 to 5 people in the car, it wasn't moving so fast. I'm a pretty athletic guy, so I sprinted after them. In one final attempt at auto-destruction, I threw the baseball bat end over end at the vehicle. Straight through the rear window. Glass was everywhere. And the best part? My bat fell out of the window and off the trunk, so I was able to retrieve it. I actually kept running after them after this, but I realized after about 100 meters that I wouldn't be able to keep up on foot. I started walking back down the street towards my apartment building. There is an identical building next to it that shares our lot. As I walked by, I hear a slow clapping sound. I looked up to see a single man looking down towards me. All he said was, "That was awesome." I think I might have said thanks, but I really don't remember. I was so furious that things were almost a blur at that point. I've never felt an adrenaline rush like that in my life. I have a slight one right now just after typing that out. I normally don't get that angry, but with the circumstances of my life, it just happened. I think the thing that really pushed me over the edge was that they hit my son, and he would have been easily viewable from the street. And we never had any egging problems after that incident. Sorry the story was so long. Story 2. My first high school boyfriend was not very good with grades, so he asked me to make him a fake report so he could show his parents and not get into trouble. He also cheated on me with my best friend and dumped me. He then promised to get back to me if I forged the report for him. I agreed up until the day when we were meant to get our reports for school. I told him I didn't do it. He got bashed by his dad when he got home for the string of D's and F's. Story 3. My then high school girlfriend was a total witch and wanted me to abandon all of my friends, would always try to bring me down, etc. When I got fed up, I broke up with her on picture day. She took them, but her mascara was everywhere. 2 days later, I told her that I was sorry and I wanted to get back together. She liked having someone to walk on, so of course she said yes. I then broke up with her again on retake day. Nailed it. Story 4. My girlfriend of 3 years, whom I dated through high school, broke up with me during my first semester of college. We went to different schools and I later learned she was hooking up with one of her guy friends there. Anyway, when we both were on break, she asked me to bring back all the stuff she had given me. Presents, sweatshirts, cards, etc. So I drove to her house with all the things we've exchanged in the past 3 years. Once I got to her house, I saw that she had invited all her friends over, and they were sitting with her along with her parents in the garage. Anyways, I walk up with her stuff and exchange. Everyone there had that smirk on their face like they were laughing at me. Anyways, I give her back her things and say, "If only I could give back your virginity." The look on her parents' faces was absolutely priceless. And I walked out of that lion's den with the biggest smile on my face. Story 5. I moved around a lot as a kid. Dad in the army, parents divorced. Not staying in one place made long-term friendships impossible, but my situation attracted bad people like flies. I moved to a new school. A guy picked up my scent instantly, tripping and shoving, making fun of my clothes. Nothing too terrible, but I was already unhappy, so I felt miserable anyway. One school day I asked to use the restroom. I passed by said guy on the way to the bathroom. He actually didn't do anything to me this time. When I entered the restroom, someone was in the only stall, making the number 2 on the floor. I walked out of the bathroom, disgusted, ready to tell on them. I was 7 at the time. I was ready to re-enter my classroom when an incredible, yet devious idea came to me. I went straight to my tormentor's classroom and walked inside. Everyone looked at me, which normally would have given me enough hesitation to turn me 180 and back to class. But that day, I didn't so much as pause. I walked up to the teacher's desk, pointed at my tormentor, and boldly proclaimed that he had done the number 2 on the bathroom floor. The teacher's reaction was better than I could have ever expected. For me, she made him follow her into the restroom while he cried and slobbered out, "I didn't do it! He's lying!" over and over again. She then grabbed a wad of paper towel, handed it to him, and we watched as he picked it up and put it into the commode. She thanked me for telling her and told me to go back to my classroom. This happened about 20 years ago. I still look back at this moment as a turning point in my life, like I became me then. Story 6. A friend and I were fishing at a local creek when my friend's brother pulled up. His brother wasn't very nice, and as his usual self, he started throwing rocks in the creek to scare the fish, and then he threw my friend's bike in the creek. We were 13 at the time. My friend was crying and I felt so bad. I jumped into the creek and got his bike out, told him we would get his brother back. About a month later, we were fishing again, and it was the end of summer. I told my friend today is the day we get his brother back. Caught a 2 or 3 pound carp, threw it up on the side of the bank, and left it there until we were done fishing. At the end of the night, went back to his place. His brother's car was sitting on the street. We took the carp, sliced it open, threw it under the driver's seat, and rolled his windows 3/4 up. The next morning when we woke and left, I forgot about what we had done. Well, when I rode past JT's car, I noticed the window was kind of black, and then I took a closer look. It was covered in flies. I actually got scared because I did not expect to see a window caked with flies. By the time I got home, I was laughing in tears because his brother was always mean to us. Fast forward to baseball practice about 3 days later. My friend had a black eye, but smiled at me when we made eye contact. His brother flipped out and ran into his house and punched him in the face. His mom said that my friend would never do such a thing, and he played along and acted as if he had no idea. Apparently, the smell never really left the car. We nicknamed his brother Lord of the Flies. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.